The first time they pushed him, he fell harder than they expected. Not because the shove was strong, but because he wasn't ready. His name was Tunde, a quiet boy with observant eyes and a habit of keeping to himself. At school, he was known more for what he didn't say than what he did. Teachers liked him. He did his work, stayed out of trouble, and never caused noise. But to a certain group of boys, silence looked like weakness. And weakness to them was an invitation. It started small: whispers, snickers, the occasional accidental bump in the hallway. Tunde ignored it. He told himself it didn't matter, that if he stayed focused, it would pass. But bullies don't get bored when you ignore them. They get curious. Soon it became louder. His books would disappear. His chair would be kicked out just as he tried to sit. One afternoon, his lunch was knocked out of his hands, scattering rice across the dusty ground while laughter echoed around him. That was the day something shifted. Not anger, not yet. Something quieter, something deeper, a realization. No one is coming to stop this. That night, Tunde sat on his bed, staring at his scraped palms. His chest felt tight, not from fear, but from something he couldn't name yet. He replayed every moment in his head, every laugh, every shove. Then he asked himself a question he had never dared to ask before. What if I didn't just take it? The next morning, nothing dramatic happened. Tunde didn't suddenly become fearless. He still felt that knot in his stomach when he saw them. But this time, he didn't look down. When one of them shoved past him in the corridor, Tunde didn't fall. He stepped back and stayed standing. "Watch where you're going," the boy sneered. Tunde's voice came out quieter than he hoped, but steadier than he expected. "You should do the same." It wasn't a fight, not yet, but it was the first crack in the pattern. Days passed. The teasing didn't stop. In fact, it got worse. Bullies don't like resistance. It threatens their control. But something else had changed too. Tunde started preparing. Not in the way they expected. He didn't look for revenge. He didn't try to become aggressive. Instead, he started building himself. He woke up earlier and began exercising. Simple push-ups, running, building strength little by little. His body started to change, but more importantly, so did his mind. He joined the school debate club, forcing himself to speak, even when his voice shook. At first he stumbled, but each time it got easier. Words became tools instead of fears. And one afternoon, after school, he found something unexpected. A small boxing gym tucked between two buildings. The smell of sweat and determination filled the air. He hesitated at the door. Then he walked in. The coach, an older man with calm eyes, watched him quietly. "Why are you here?" he asked. Tunde thought for a moment. "Because I'm tired of being afraid." The coach nodded once. "Good. That's the right reason. Anger fades. Fear teaches you." Training wasn't easy. Tunde got hit. He got tired. He doubted himself more than once. But every time he wanted to quit, he remembered the laughter, the feeling of helplessness. And slowly, something stronger replaced it. Not rage, control. Weeks later, the moment came. It wasn't planned. It never is. They cornered him behind the classroom block, the usual smirks on their faces. One of them stepped forward, cracking his knuckles like it was a game. "Thought you could talk back now?" he said. Tunde's heart pounded. His hands trembled slightly, but he didn't step back. "Leave me alone," he said. They laughed, and then one of them swung. This time, Tunde moved. Not wildly, not out of panic, but with precision. He dodged, stepped aside, and pushed the attacker off balance. Not to hurt him, but to stop him. The confidence in that single movement shocked them more than any punch could. The second boy hesitated. That hesitation was everything. "I don't want to fight," Tunde said, his voice firm now. "But I will defend myself." Something in his eyes made it clear. This wasn't the same boy anymore. This one wouldn't break. The fight never fully happened, Because bullies rely on certainty, and in that moment, they lost it. They backed off, not dramatically, not with apologies, but with something close to respect, or maybe just confusion. Either way, they left. Tunde stood there, breathing hard, realizing something important. Winning wasn't about beating them. It was about no longer needing their approval to feel strong. From that day on, things didn't magically become perfect. There were still looks, still whispers, but the power dynamic had changed because Tunde had changed. He still wasn't the loudest person in the room, but now when he walked, he didn't shrink. And when he spoke, people listened. Not because he was feared, but because he had faced fear and refused to let it define him. And that kind of strength, it doesn't come from fighting others. It comes from finally standing up for yourself,